level. Okay, we want to throw a lot of information out at you, and what we're going to tell you is when we're done, if you guys have seen something here that you like, that you either want deeper information about, or the same information presented to a bigger crew, we will work with individual churches. All right, so we don't have to answer every question specific here. We will take care of you. In that case, probably the building level.
I was gonna say, when we move to our next perimeter line here, that might answer some of your questions on that. Okay?
Yeah, we'll make you another promise. As you guys start asking questions, a lot of your answers are gonna be, we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay? But what we're looking for outside the building perimeter, in that outside area, whether it's, regardless of what you call it, if you can put somebody out there to help people find parking spots, or to run a golf cart shuttle so that folks don't have to walk as far in the rain, or just to stand there on the corner of the lot with a cup of coffee and laugh and tell stories while people are walking in. You're doing a couple things. You're putting a friendly greeting type person out there, and the people with good impressions are gonna appreciate that. And you're putting somebody out there who's got just a little bit more awareness, that's kind of keeping an eye on things. And if they see somebody that may be just a little questionable, go up and say hi to them. Good intentioned people will like that. Bad intentioned people will be uncomfortable. Now understand that it's not a matter of going up to them, hey, I don't know you, what are you doing here? Okay, Secret Service is not a part of this. It's look them in the eye, shake hands, say, how are you? Is there somebody here you're meeting? Can I help you find, how can I help you? And that will take care of a lot of things. Questions about outside the building? Inside the building, yeah. Yes, sir.
I searched Homewood, we have a parking lot there, and a lot of stuff that we were saying that we do. That's something I just want to point out. You see somebody that don't look safe coming to the building, just greet them like, hey, how you doing?
Yes.
I'm glad to see you. And let's just distract them, and they throw them all if they trying to do something that's not safe. You know? And I just agree with that. Niggas, I want to say when you and I say, we have a parking lot team, and the parking lot team is very important. To me, it's like the first line of things, but
Yes.
we coming into the church also.
And the first line of welcome also.
And the first line of welcome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's what we do. We welcome everybody, no matter what they look like, or, you know, if they look missing anything, but we make sure we, like, in their face, hey, how you doing?
Yes.
Pray for you, let them know that we are here.
And that's what we need. Yeah, you got it wrong.
And
And it's the basic right there, just paying attention to people. Because the bad guys, in almost every case, the bad guys, if we're looking at the stereotypical mass murder, active shooter event, the bad guys will come out and scout a time or two ahead of time. They don't ever go into a building that they've never been in. When you look at it, there's a lot of homework, a lot of planning that goes into this. They scout out ahead of time. So if that is your main concern, folks, have somebody come out, look them in the eye, shake their hand, hey, how are you, can I help you find somebody? And that much attention is gonna be enough to tell them, this is not the soft target that we're looking for, and they will go somewhere else. There are so many other benefits though. For the well-intentioned people, you're making the warm, welcome impression, right? For the border, if there's somebody borderline, if they're coming out scouting, looking for vehicles to break into or something like that, you've established that people are paying attention. They're welcome if they're there for good, and we're paying attention if you're not. You know, and again, it's not a bouncer thing, it's a welcoming thing. 100 years ago when Walmart was a good place for a college kid to work, what they taught us was, and of course this was when Sam Walton was actually running the company, and that's a whole other thing. Things have changed since then, haven't they? What they taught us was go up, greet people, make eye contact. Can I help you? If you need something, I'll be right over here. If you need something, I will take you to it. I'm not going to stand and give you directions. There should not be any point involved. I will take you to the nursery, or the bathroom door, or the sanctuary, or whatever. And I will pay attention to you until you're satisfied. And it's the same thing. Make them feel welcome, make them feel appreciated, valued as an individual, if that's the phrase you're looking for. But also let them know that you're paying attention. And that is the biggest thing that if we can get anything across to everybody today, that's what you need, just paying that extra attention. You don't have to be suspicious, you don't have to stay away from the scowling at people and just pay attention to them. Moving on. At the doors, it's gonna depend on how you guys, if you wanna have an outside team and an inside team, or the same team working together, however you do it. Somebody at the door's greeting, whether it's the person passing out the bulletins or whatever, somebody else kinda hanging out, telling stories, smiling, shaking hands. Once church starts, once you reach whatever deadline that you've got for securing all the doors except for one, then the inside team kind of transitions. You have somebody at the main entry to continue to let people in. They're late. I don't know about you all. I'm usually about 3 minutes late for everything. So it would be me coming in late once you've locked your door. Leave one person there to control the access to the door. And folks, while we're talking about it, you don't lock all your doors but one. That one door, you can lock it, you can not lock it, it's up to you. I'm a firm believer that a properly supervised door is more secure. A properly supervised unlocked door is more secure than a locked one that's ignored. Okay? So leave it unlocked and just have somebody there to greet anybody that comes in late. The other people transition and they start working within the building, kind of looking around. They'll go down and keep track of the kids' classes. Do we understand why that's important? Jason and I aren't subtle, so we'll just say it. Churches are a whole lot more likely to have problems with people trying to take advantage of their kids than they are to have problems with violence coming in the front door. Okay, and that's something that, while we're talking about overall security and safety, that's something we got to acknowledge. Take care of your kids and watch out for them. Just because somebody's coming to church, you guys know that. I don't need to tell you that. Just because you stand in a garage doesn't make you a car, right? Just because people are in church doesn't mean that they're good church people. Look out for your kids. Have somebody circulate around and keep track of if there's people hanging around the kids. Keep track of kids going to and from the bathroom. Pay attention to that. That team also, whoever's doing that's also going to check the doors and continue to go around and make sure they're staying locked. It's possible for a kid to get out and start floating around and get out of Sunday school class and want to sneak outside for one reason or another, or unlock a door, or come back in, or whatever. Keep track of that kind of thing. And really, you're just patrolling. It's not patrol. We patrol, and we're probably grumpy when we do it, or at least give that impression. This team is not patrolling. Remember, it's about a ministry. You're a whole lot more likely to have to, you're more likely to bump into somebody that needs consoling about a divorce than you are to bump into somebody that's out trying to steal purses. So keep that in mind. It's not about scaring people back into the sanctuary or anything like that. It's just being out and continuing to pay attention, make eye contact, shake hands, and just be aware. Questions about that part? If I talk too much about that, are you all bored yet? Questions? Okay. All right, we've covered inside the building, but outside the sanctuary. And this is something that Jason and I will do also. We'll get to talking and we'll blow right through 2 or 3 slides worth of information without the slides. We do. If you guys choose to, you can take the idea of the layered security, the 3 deep or the 3-stage security, and you can apply it to inside the sanctuary also. If you've got the luxury of manpower or just however, the same principle will hold. The sanctuary has an outer perimeter. The door's coming in, right? You can establish that middle layer about halfway up the aisle. And then the inside layer like right on the front row. And what you're doing with this, for the most part, this is if you have concerns about specific disturbances or problems within the service. This is something you guys can look at. Somebody at the doors to greet people as they come through the door. And again, it's a happy, hey, how are you? Look, somebody in particular, can I help you find a seat? You all have usher teams, right? Most places. Take your ushers, give you just a little bit more information, a little bit more awareness. And then let them go. And then after that, it's just a matter of maybe asking specific people on your safety team to maybe change where they sit. And I understand in church, that's, I didn't mean to cause goosebumps for anybody there. Yeah, but talk about it a little bit. And if you have a team within your church that's and if by some fluke, you have somebody causes a disturbance within your service, you've got somebody at the doors that may stop it or slow it down, somebody halfway to the front that may stop it or slow it down, and then somebody on the front row that can interfere, stop it, and slow it down. Now, that's all based on the premise that whatever happens in a church sanctuary, the front of the church is gonna be the center of attention, right? That's probably a pretty safe assumption. The bad guy's not gonna come in and sit in the back row. Now, while we're talking about the bad guy, let's try to keep it in perspective for you, okay? We've talked about how you're more likely to have to console somebody that's crying over a divorce than you are about purse snatching, the active shooters, the mass murderers that everybody's most worried about, the stereotypical come in and shoot everybody. That has been going on long enough now that there are legitimate, believable statistics about these mass murder events, okay? One of the statistics that we want you to understand is that you're more likely to be hit by lightning twice than you are to become involved in a mass murder incident like that, an active shooter incident. It's not quite twice, comes out to like 1.7 times or something like that. You're more likely to be hit by lightning, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can ignore it, because we don't ignore lightning, right? We take precautions. Anybody here go golfing in a thunderstorm? You're taking precautions, right? You're paying just a little bit of attention to it. Has anybody ever developed ulcers worrying about lightning? It's something that you're aware of. You take a couple of precautions and you go with it, right? Pretty much. Okay, so the people that you're asking to change the seats, and I know all about that. Make sure they understand, we're gonna ask you to sit here, we want you to have this awareness. If something happens, if you'd be willing to jump up, try and address it, that's fine, but for the most part, keep it in the back of your head, enjoy the service. Okay, they don't need to jump up and be studying ninja tactics and stuff every time the door opens. Okay, that's not what we want. It's just that awareness level.
You know, I mean, you're talking about the whole church full of people that you all know for your, with the entire time you've been there. And to put it in perspective, we all know probably just about every church out there has members of the congregation that are in some way, shape, or form, concealed carriers or things of this nature. Okay, well, again, just to reinforce what you were saying earlier, we're not looking for guys wearing the security t-shirt, scowling at everyone that walks by, standing in parade dress, and making sure that you're intimidating everyone. That's not what we're looking for. For a welcoming environment, probably half of the churches will use people that are already using to do that. They're already there, they know what they're doing. People sitting in the sanctuary, I call it the concealed carry uniform. Okay, the 511 boots with a 511 pants, with a 511 shirt, with a 511 hat on. Okay, we're not looking for that stuff. We're looking for people that are just there to enjoy the church service, okay, and enjoy the fellowship with the members of the church, but have just that extra little bit of awareness, okay? And another phrase you'll hear say, we will get into this in a minute, but we will get into this in a minute. Having just acknowledging the fact that you're here, the fact that you just acknowledged a little bit that this is a possibility puts you so far ahead of the curve that you wouldn't believe it. Okay, so and we will go into that in a minute.
If you're not aware, that the 511 is like the coolest brand of clothing and equipment for cops. Tactical. Now here we are. This is something else that it's kind of going to go back to Grossman. Grossman is something that we're going to reference a lot. If you guys have the opportunity later on to look at a couple of the books that Grossman's put out, or his website, or whatever, it may be worth looking at. Remember, he's at the enthusiastic end of the sky has fallen, but he's got a lot of good information. And we'll talk specifically about a couple of books here before we're done. These are the awareness levels. We call them awareness levels.
More accurately, the stress levels. What's going on with your body under a certain amount of stress? We have any veterans in the group. Okay. into how does the human body react whenever it's put under a large amount of stress in a short amount of time. Okay? Not go ahead and continue with it.
Okay, and again, these are the awareness levels, stress levels. This is how Grossman and a couple other fairly knowledgeable guys break down what changes a body undergoes when they're stressed or excited. The normal state for people is condition white, and that is just a hair above oblivious. Okay, that's where sheep are at. You're out, you're focused on what you're doing. Everybody else, so long as paths don't cross, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. Head down, get in the grocery store, get the milk, get back out. Not paying attention to nothing except the list of chores that your wife has given you for the day. Up until recently, years and years ago, a lot of our schools were in this condition. Even when the incidents started happening, we had Heath High School just down the road from us, right, 45 minutes away. Not quite Paducah. I've been told clearly that's not Paducah. It's next to Paducah, right in our backyard, right? There was Jonesboro, Arkansas happened, and it was something that schools paid attention to, but we're still caught up in. It'll never happen here. It's a fluke. Until Columbine for schools to really start taking this serious. Okay, it's taken them years. They're still not where we'd like them to be, but they're getting there. For the churches, there have been plenty of incidents of violence within churches. If you're looking at the stereotypical mass murder incident, there's even more examples of specific targeted violence, whether it's domestic situations, mental health issues. Like churches will draw people with unusual and exciting problems sometimes, without getting into the stereotype of the mass murder. There's plenty of examples, but they all were just flukes. We didn't really pay attention. It'll never happen here. This is Southern Illinois, right? It'll never happen here. Folks, I'm convinced the thing in Texas a couple of weeks ago is going to do for churches what Columbine did for the schools. It's caused us to sit up and pay attention and acknowledge. And it's going to cause us to have to think about coming out of the oblivious condition, the condition why, the whole everything is peachy. Are there anybody here with little kids, grandkids, Lego fans? Have you all ever heard the Everything is Awesome song? Yeah, that's it right there. Everything's awesome. What we're suggesting to people, to churches, is let yourself come up to this condition yellow. And that is the biggest thing that you